And it became my best friend because when I was stressed out, I smoked. Whenever I was happy, I'm like, oh, it's a good day. It's time to smoke. Before I ate, because when you do that, the food gonna hit a lot better. You can eat some dry crackers and it's gonna be good. So I just found myself doing it every point in time, mad, sad, angry, and when you do that, when I did that, I kind of lost reality with the world, like was actually happening. I wasn't dealing with the actual issues, but instead I was running to something to suppress what I was feeling.
Hi, how are y'all doing? Welcome back to another episode of Her Story, Our podcast. Guess what? So today we have a special guest. I've been promising you guys a special guest, and this one right here is a special guest. This is my friend Charity, Muhammad, and I'm so excited to have her on the show today, and y'all are going to be hearing some really good stuff today. We're going to be so real, and we hope that you get something from it, and just like, share, comment, and please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's get into it. Hey girl.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed.
Good. I guess first we can start with just telling the people who you are, where you've come from, how old you are, and all of that good stuff.
Okay. Like she said, my name is Charity Muhammad. I am 23 years old. I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm a wife. I've been married for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yes. Blessed and highly favored.
Okay. Come on and add that in there.
But yeah, my walk with God has grown tremendously. As of all, we all have a testimony, and I've grown, and God has changed me tremendously because I came from, I would say, the gutter, and God pulled me out of the gutter in the midst of me sinning. So yes.
Okay. So let's talk about your family dynamics. How was your household growing up? How did you experience life growing up?
Okay. Well, I have 4 sisters, and one of them. Well, I guess that doesn't even matter. But I grew up in a household. My parents were married up until I was about 12 years old. But before they had got divorced, it felt amazing. Some of the things that they've been through, I didn't see that they were going through, but they created a certain lifestyle for us that we couldn't complain. We had a roof over our head and food in our mouth, and over a period of time, we started to see certain things happen in the house, disagreements and stuff, and then that later led to a divorce. And after that divorce happened, I felt like I would say it was my first heartbreak. Before any relationship could break my heart, the divorce between my parents was my very first heartbreak. And so after that, me and my mom, because around that time, I was a rebellious, early.
What do you mean rebellious? What were you doing?
Well, I don't, because whenever you're a child, well, I'm gonna speak for myself only. You kind of see everybody else as the bad guy, but you don't really see yourself as the bad guy. But as I had conversations with my mom, she told me some of the things that I did, and I'm like, wow, I was rebellious. And she said she would find different holes in the clothes. I would go in and cut her clothes.
What?
I was like, yeah, I was.
Oh my gosh! Now that's a little excessive. Are you okay now?
Yeah.
Are you better? Okay. It's a little excessive. Cutting the clothes. That's telling me it's a Medea show going on over here. What?
Yes. And she said I've cursed at her before. I don't remember any of this. That's how I villainized. I did villainize my mom for a long period of time. And, I didn't understand as a child what she was going through. She just had a divorce, and she was married to my dad for 15 years. Okay. So that's a lot of time to be with a person, and just have to accept the fact that it's over, that, that's heartbreaking. Me as a married woman, I could look back and understand what she was going through now. But as a 12, 13-year-old girl, I was selfish, and I blamed my mom because I didn't know the backstory, and nor did I understand if she would have told me. Over a period of time, I started to live with my dad after me and my mom weren't getting along after that divorce, and just living with my dad instead of my mom, during that period of time, the transitioning over, when women start their cycle around that time, I just felt like I didn't have that mother figure that was supposed to, be there to teach me all these different things, because I wasn't even talking to her. She would, reach out, and sometimes, and I would not talk to her at all. It was just that phase in my life where, I'm gonna be honest, I hated her at that time because I felt like she destroyed our family. And so, and people on my dad's side would literally be okay with me having these negative feelings toward her. And me as a child, I didn't know that this wasn't the way to go. You hurt me, so I'm not going to talk to you. That was just the way I went about things. And, my dad can only teach me how a man can treat me, but my mother was supposed to be there to teach me how to be a woman. And so I didn't even allow her to do that. And so we just, the relationship stopped there. And one day I went to this Christian camp. I believe it's called FCA. Shout out to FCA Christian Camp. Amazing camp for children. And so they take all of our phones. At first it's like a bummer because, you want your phone.
Right.
But you wake up really early, and the first thing you do is go to breakfast, and right after that you go to worship. And just being there for about a week, I became really close to God. And so,
how old were you?
I was like a freshman in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I also went to barefoot camp too. That was a great experience as well. And so that's when I decided to forgive my mom. And I just texted her and said, I forgive you. I don't remember her response, but just to know that the encounter with God was the thing that made me forgive her. Nothing anybody said, nothing God just did in my own self, but it was God and the Holy Spirit that led me to do that. Not that I was living 100% right anyways. I still didn't really have a relationship with God. I just had an encounter with him.
Do you remember how you felt when you forgave your mom?
Oh my gosh. I felt like something come off of me. Like something that was like bitterness and hatred, all of that just came off of me.
So when that came off of you, did you ever experience that again, or that was it? Like
with her?
Yeah, like you forgave her and it was forgiven and you moved on from that. Did you ever experience still bitterness, still hurt, still at any point in time? Or would you say that was just the point where you just let everything go?
Well, I let, the bitterness and hatred go, but some of the pain that accumulated over that period of time in that relationship was still there. So I still had to heal. It was just the beginning process of me letting go.
Got you. So with that happening and the hurt that you were feeling, because you mentioned that the divorce of your parents was like your first heartbreak, do you think that kind of pushed you into certain things that you weren't really expecting in life?
Well, I can say that, after that happening, and I don't really know if this was because of that, because my parents did love me a lot, but since I didn't feel whole at home, when I went, and especially in high school, nobody warned me that the boys are vigorous. They're
out of control.
They're
pause, because these boys in high school are out of control. I went to high school with skirts, jean skirts, long skirts, and when I was able to look good, because I had to grow, I had this baby fat on me for a long time, and when I began to get like a little shape, whatever, them boys was looking through them skirts.
Yeah, most definitely.
And still wanted to talk to me. And at that time, I was just like, okay, maybe I'm beautiful. So any guy who said I was beautiful, I was attracted to, because I was just like, oh, I've never been in my dad.
Like
this. Yeah. And my dad passed away when I was 14. So that was like a a void that I was trying to fill myself. And so with other guys. Yeah. But anywho. So yeah.
You're right about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't know at the time, but you know, I look back and they were very sex motivated. You know, I wasn't, like I said, wasn't super close to God, but you know, I grew up in the church. My dad used to run a church. He used to be a pastor. And so I knew, like, you know, you hear something, so it's like some things stick with you, some things don't. And the one thing that I did keep was I'm waiting to try to keep I'm waiting till marriage to have sex. And so I went into high school with that mindset. And so
what happened, girl? What happened?
You know, okay, we talked about the sex-driven boys. I didn't know they were sex-driven. I just thought they seemed like, oh, wow, she's beautiful. No, they're just looking at your body and, you know, how pretty you are, stuff like that. And so everybody who told me that I was cute, now, if they was just, you know, way off the radar, but still I look back and they was way off the radar. So I'm like, you know, what I see now, you know, my husband is the best looking one. Okay.
Come on. Give him a little shout out.
But, you know, I would be successful to anybody. I would date anybody. Like, I look back and I'm like, that was not even my type. But I didn't even know who I was. So how could I know what I even wanted back then? So yeah, I was just in and out of a lot of relationships. But at this point in time, for about my freshman to my sophomore year, I was dating a lot, but I was not having any sex. Okay, is that a good word?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't doing that. But in our relationships, and I'm seeing that these people, it was one specific person my freshman year. I think it was my first relationship my freshman year. And I thought they were so serious. I told them, okay, I'm waiting till marriage, yada, yada, yada. I'm thinking they're on the same accord, same everything. And I found out they're dating another upperclassman. You know, I'm just a freshman that you're keeping secret.
That's another heartbreak.
So I remember being in class and I just busted out. Nobody said anything to me. That's how sad I look. Like, you know, if you say something, you skate on thin ice. Broken. But yeah, so I had got into another relationship. Well, I had it a lot, but I had got into another relationship my sophomore year, and that one had lasted about a year, and I still kept my virginity. But after being with them for a year and constantly putting myself in situations of temptation, I eventually fell.
So that was your sophomore year.
Well, I started the relationship in sophomore year, but on my way to junior year that summer, that's whenever.
Got you.
So yeah.
Do you think when you lost your virginity, like, do you think it was something that you wanted? Like, was that like a desire? This sounds so weird, but you know, some people be having a desire in their heart to want to feel what that is. Were you kind of curious when that, or was it like you said, you were just put in that spot of temptation and it kind of just led you to?
I was definitely playing with fire. I put myself in that situation, and it was a point where I just couldn't fight back at that point. And God I felt something give me a way out, but I ignored it, and that other spirit just completely took over. And I've never felt this feeling before. I'm like, oh wow. That's why I tell my younger sisters, like the ones that haven't, you know, and I'm like, be careful. Don't put yourself in a situation, because that temptation comes over you like a flood. And it's, you know, it's hard, especially when you haven't been through trials and tribulations with God and your faith has been built. It's easier to choose that feeling of lust over God, because you know God's like, okay, well, now I want to feel good right now in this moment. And so I just remember giving into that, and literally right after, you know, the first thing I told him, what? Don't tell nobody. Because now I'm just like, I felt dirty.
Shame.
Like, yes. I was like, don't tell anybody. Yeah.
So after that, were you guys still together? Okay, for how long?
I don't remember, but it didn't last long. You know how somebody say when the person who took your virginity, like, you become super close?
Yeah.
it was the opposite for me. Like, I really just wanted to get out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that was about, but it was like, yeah, I just wanted to leave and get out.
Yeah. Okay. I remember when I lost mine too, and it was horrible. It was just horrible. Like, what was I doing?
Right.
Anyway, that's a story for another day. Because crazy. And for me, it was like filling in that void. Like, just trying to feel something that I haven't felt before, trying new things and all of that stuff. Like, it was just, maybe
this will solve my problem.
Yeah. And it didn't. It just made things even worse. But, so in high school, how was your experiences in high school? Were you easily influenced? How was that?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was very influenced. So in middle school, I was the type of person, I just put anything on. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm on my own. Like, you know, the little buddies from Walmart, like, were my favorite shoes.
Yeah, okay. And that's okay.
Because I grew up around a lot of Mexicans around the time. Because I stayed in Antioch. And those are my people.
Yeah.
You know, they had the real Vans. But, you know, I just got the buddies that look like the Vans.
And that's okay.
And I would wear the cargos.
I bet you was still fresh. You was still clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. So, you know, and... So, you know, being around them, those type of people, like, it was, and this is not to say, you know, make it seem like a certain people or a certain type, but for me, this is how it was. And so being around them, I feel like I can be myself. I didn't have to dress to impress. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to high school, predominantly black school, it changed because everybody had on Jordans. Everybody had on, at that time, Polo was popping. Like, Polo, Ralph Lauren was popping.
Everybody had that.
And, Louis Vuitton, like, they was just, you know, dressed to impress. Like, I peeped that my focus changed because I did used to come to school just to learn. But I found myself coming to school to be the best dressed. Who can dress the best? Who can look the best? Who can be the flyest? Like, when did school turn into that? Yeah. And so I felt myself just trying to meet the standards of the people of my environment. And so, yeah, even with weave, not necessarily braids, but because that's what all I wore was braids at first. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they're wearing 30-inch butts down. I got to get the 30-inch butts down. Okay. So if you know me in high school, you know I always, because freshman year I didn't. I wore my real hair and my little afro, and I seen that wasn't it. Yeah. I was like, oh.
It was that weave. And if people in high school really didn't know how to maintain the weave, and it was looking real sticky. Yeah. I don't like weave though. Not anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm glad I have locks. I even tried putting weave in my hair with my locks. And it was just like the curly pieces. Y'all probably saw it on my other episodes, but after that and taking that out and just feeling and just seeing little pieces, I said, "Oh, yeah, I don't miss this."
Girl, I wouldn't want to change it if I had that hair either. But I'm not gonna lie, I was bald headed, and I'm growing my hair out right now. That's why I keep braids, but. During that process, like, the short hair wasn't it.
Yeah, I like short hair now, though.
I've wore waves. So, like, I used to have the finger waves in school as well, but I seen...
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah. But I played basketball, so those didn't last long. Yeah. But, yeah, I was just trying to be like everybody else because I'm like, okay, this is popping. This is what's going to make you like me. I was a people pleaser. Like, whatever somebody wanted, like... And I wasn't perfect, you know, but... I always tried to go with what everybody else was doing.
So, speaking of that, I know, like, smoking is, like, a big thing in school. And that's kind of how a lot of people get introduced to it. Were you ever introduced to smoking?
Yes, actually, because I had actually forgot all about this at a point in time, but it came back to me. I've tried it, like, but I wasn't doing it right because when I actually... became a smoker at a point in time, I was like, oh wow, I was not doing that right because I didn't feel anything. But I think it was one night with the basketball team, and we was at a hotel, and somebody had a plug, and we just bought a whole bunch, and everybody was doing it in the hotel room. And yeah, I was a bad influence. These were mostly freshmen in on the basketball team. Okay. So sorry, y'all. I hope you're not addicted now. But
were you ever addicted?
Oh, most definitely. But it wasn't in high school. Because in high school, I was just like, didn't dab in it, and I really didn't like it. I was just doing it just because. Yeah. I became addicted. So I'm gonna start off in the relationship part. So I had got into a relationship at the end of my senior year, and this person smoked marijuana, and so keep in mind, I didn't like that. Like, I was just doing that, but then somebody that's a full-fledged smoker, I was like, but okay, I guess I'll compromise. And so during that relationship, you know, you constantly see this person smoking all the time. It's like, okay, like, he never really forced it on me, but sometimes he'd be like, you want it? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. And then after like a few months being in there, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll try it. And I hallucinated like crazy. I thought somebody was watching me. And I was like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. Yeah. And then I did it again. And I was less I was less paranoid. And the more I did it, I was less paranoid. So that's whenever I started realizing, like, okay, I'm getting, this is normal for me. And it became my best friend because when I was stressed out, I smoked. Whenever I was happy, I was like, oh, it's a good day. It's time to smoke. Before I ate, because you know, when you do that, you know, the food gonna hit a lot better. You can eat some dry crackers and it's gonna be good. So I just found myself doing it every point in time, mad, sad, angry. And when you do that, when I did that, I kind of lost reality with the world, like was actually happening. I wasn't dealing with the actual issues, but instead I was running to something to suppress what I was feeling. And then later on, it just made me get into more drama and more depression because my problems weren't being solved.
Got you. Were you like smoking? Was it better to smoke with somebody, or you would find yourself just smoking by yourself and you would be good with that?
Oh, by myself. Yeah, I didn't care. Like, don't get me wrong, because whenever you do that, there's a lot of you draw a different crowd. Like, you would be at work with somebody, they find out you smoke, and it's like, oh, now that's what y'all have in common. Yeah. These type people you don't even talk to on a regular basis because they smoke. That's what y'all have in common, and you find yourself hanging with people that you never even thought you would want to hang with.
Yeah. Were you ever in a relationship with someone who did smoke?
Yeah. When I got a relationship. I mean, when I got into a relationship at the end of my high school senior year.
Got you. So tell me about that.
The relationship. So we were together for about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, a year and a half. And you know, this particular person, I didn't like their demeanor throughout high school, but somehow I seen him at prom, and I was like, oh, okay, you can get spiffy. And so, like, you know, that was just the lust of the eye. And so, and then
you had a little sparkle.
Yeah. And a lot of you know, I'm tall. I'm 6'1", so there's not a lot of options, like, for real. When you're in high school and and it wasn't a lot of tall people, and a lot of tall people that was there, I wasn't really like, So, you know, when you see a tall guy and then you actually like, okay, you taller than me, let's go. That was back then. Yeah. But yeah, and so it started, you know, around that time. And so that relationship, both before we had got together, I do remember having a vision of him, and I didn't know now, but it was of the future. Okay. So God had already told me that he was going to be in your future, but I didn't know what that meant, because that was my first vision I've ever had. Oh. Yeah, it was just like a picture of him with glasses. He didn't wear glasses in high school, but then later on I found out that he had glasses. Wow. So he had revealed that to me. And so throughout this relationship, it started, you know how a relationship starts off. Yeah. You know, you you don't act your real self in the beginning. And so a lot of our personality traits start to come out. And I feel like we built a trauma bond because we had mommy issues. Okay. And so throughout that process, you know, we're getting closer, and then that's whenever true colors start to come out. And I It's very toxic.
Okay.
Very, very toxic. And I found myself trying to change him, and it was just back and forth constantly. And the emotions that I had, I acted off of those emotions, and so I would put my hands on him, like literally, like physical. Like I'm telling you, punch him, and then guess what? Like he'll punch me right back.
Wow.
So throughout that, like,
did that happen often?
Oh yeah.
I couldn't do it. I don't know how you did it, but I just could. I couldn't. I don't know how you did it, but you made it through.
I don't know how he did it, because I'm not. Yeah. I really don't want to make it seem like that.
Especially for the man to even hit you back. Like,
yeah. I don't want to make it seem like that I was the victim here, because I did it first, and not to justify his actions either. Yeah. You know, we both were dead wrong, but you know, I take accountability. You know, and like, you shouldn't put your hands on anybody, no matter how you're feeling. If that person did something to you and you don't know how to talk about it right now, go and figure that out with God. Right. But you know, I didn't know that at the time, or either I just neglected it at the time, because I didn't have a conscious feeling of conviction at that time. Like everything I was doing, being sexually immoral, it was normal to me. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going with the flow. Yeah. You know, I believe in God, listen to gospel music every now and then, but as for now, I'm just gonna do me. Yeah. I'm gonna do me. Yeah. And so, yeah. So,
how did y'all's relationship end?
Okay, let me go back a little bit to get a little more insight. So, you know, a few months into the relationship, before it started to get really bad, I had a dream, but it was like, it was really more so revision while I was half asleep, and it was a man that, it was like green grass everywhere, and a man came to me and proposed, and that's never, seconds later, another man came before him and proposed, and I married that man. And so in my spirit, I knew that I had to break up with him right then and there. Like something was telling me to break up with him. But the first thing I felt was, I felt bad for how he would feel. Like I was thinking like, oh, that would hurt him. That would crush him. I can't do that to him. So it wasn't more so like, oh, I could never leave him. But it was more so, I can't hurt him in that way, because we're so deep. Yeah. But, you know, after that, being disobedient, I kept going, and I just pushed down the guilt, because I knew God was like, do it. And I was like, no, not today. So after that,
go ahead. Because I don't want you to lose your thought.
After that, like months, like I want to say just a month later, he ended up going homeless. And so it made it 10 times harder to leave. Because it's like, you can't leave. You can't kick him while he down. Like, But God knew. And that entailed me the relationship for another year. Wow. So if I just would have listened, if I just would have been obedient, then I wouldn't have had to go through all of that. Yeah. And so, I felt like I was rushing my life. Like because I had a home to go to and everything, not to boast, but I had somewhere to go. But I chose to sleep in the car with him many times. Wow. I chose to go to hotels with him many times. Yeah. Instead of going home and focusing on myself. Yeah. But
was there a relationship after him? Was there a relationship after him, or that relationship that kind of, did that relationship, like afterwards, did it kind of bring you back in?
So throughout the relationship, there was a point of time, like a little after, God started to speak through me, and I started to, like, every time I would go away from him, I would know in my mind, like, this is not, I couldn't imagine him in my future. Like every time I set my heart on God, there was no vision of me and him. So, and I fought and I battled that for months at a time. And I finally started to realize, okay, you need to get right with God, because this grace only gonna last for so long. Yeah. So that's whenever I finally got the courage to, and I don't get me wrong, I've left. But I kept going back. And so I finally left, and I never looked back. And so after that, I started to get very serious with God. Very serious with God. And so I started fasting and started praying, because I just had a feeling that I would have a husband one day. Like I just had this strong feeling. And so I was fat, and I was praying for my husband. Like detailed story. Okay. Details. Like, God, please let him be taller than me. Like, it don't matter. I said, it don't matter if it's just an inch. Tell me why Raheem is exactly an inch taller than me.
Wow.
Like, and it's other stuff, you know, that's, you know, a little personal, but, like, not like that. But,
right. I'm about to say, okay. To tell the whole world. Thank you, Lord, for meeting the needs. Okay, girl. Hey, no judgment. I know it ain't like that, but no judgment here. I'm glad it's meeting the needs of you.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
We all about being real, okay? Just let it out. Don't let it all out, but let it out.
Okay. Gather. Because I was very specific with my prayers. So I was fasting and praying and fervently, very, very serious. And so I would say, like, a week after me fasting, I was at my mom's house, and I remember it's something about the half sleep visions I have. I know that's when God's speaking to me specifically. It was a picture of my husband and Raheem, and he was sitting there. He was smiling so big, and I was like, and then I had a feeling like it's like, I don't know, it's a feeling you get with that image, and it was like your husband, and I feel it speak to me, and I woke up and I was so happy. I'm like, bro, my husband. Yeah. My husband. Like, and I remember telling my sisters, and I talked to them to this day, like, I don't remember you telling me that. I'm like, okay, you know, I guess I'll be the only witness to this. But I had a vision of him. Okay. And so
did you leave the guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
You left him.
So we stopped talking in about 2021, like January 2021. And so, and I started fasting and praying, and up until that was around the end of July, early June is when I had that vision. A week of 2021. And then actually a week later, Raheem, my husband, he DM'd me on Instagram because I had posted a prayer like, Father God, da da da, and he responded to it. He said, Amen. And then I was like, who is this? You know, guys that, you know, when they used to slide in my DMs, I'd be like, oh, you beautiful, you thick, you this, and that's just like, I was in a whole total different headspace. Right. Like back then, I'll, you know, give that a day or time, but now it's like, yuck. But when he said amen, that drew my attention. Like, I need a God-fearing man. That is what, you know, what I needed. Right. So he texted that, you know, I went straight to the Instagram page. I'm like, I know you lying. Yeah. This the same dude. But I was like, let me make sure. Right. So his page was private at the time, so I requested to follow him. Because I just liked his comment at the time. You know, I didn't respond because I'm like, at the time, I was strict. I wasn't texting nobody, talking to nobody. Yeah. Because I really wanted to hear from God, and I didn't need no distractions. And so he accepted the follow request, and it was him. So I was like, I was lurking on his page every day, just like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? Yeah. Who is this guy? Right. Like, cause you know, I just seen you in my vision, and it said your husband. So what's up? Yeah. But yes, and then he texted me again out of nowhere. He was like, "Hey, would you like to come to church with me?" Oh, let's just start dating. No, I was like, but I was like, yeah, you know, nobody has ever asked me to go to church. Let's go to church. You know, I was trying to keep my cool because he don't even know I just had a vision of him. Yeah, and so, you know, we said, okay, cool. What time? Da da da. He told me the place, and conversation over. I started to think to myself, you don't know this guy.
There you go. Them thoughts.
I was like, you don't know him.
Like, why am I going to church with you?
So I texted him. I was like, well, could we get to know each other a little bit before I just go to church with you? And so he was like, yeah. And we started talking about everything. Like, and it was like, you know how you first start talking to somebody, like, well, what's your favorite color? What's this? And we was skipping all that little petty stuff. We was so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or do you believe in God? And he was getting straight to the questions, like, what's your American dream? What do you want in life?
That sounds like Raheem. Mm-hmm.
He was like, do you put the kids first or you put your spouse first? And I was like, I don't know. What do you think? So, and it was just intellectual questions. And I was so drawn in because I had never ever had somebody like that. Well, I said had. I never talked with somebody like that. Yeah. And
I felt that same way when I met Nick. Talking about intellectual, analytical, deep. Yeah, he was
most definitely
my man. Yeah, he still is my man. And I'm not gonna get started because it's all about you today. All right, what were you saying?
But yeah, and so one day when I was texting, it was the same day because we were texting like crazy, and so I was at work, and this is when I had just got promoted to a manager, and so you know how you start off as a regular employee, but you go to a manager and the people kind of don't respect you as much. It's like, that's just her. You know, we cool with her. That means if we got her as a manager, we're going to be chilling the whole shit. Right. I'm like, negative.
Right.
Why you think I became a manager? Exactly. Because I don't play those games, but now I have that title and I'm getting that pay. Yeah. It's starting to pop in. Yeah. And so that day it was so stressful because they weren't listening to me, like, because they just seen me and I'm their age too, so it was like and so I went to the bathroom. No, they don't know this, but I went to the bathroom and I just started crying because it's too much. Like, please respect me, just listen to me, like. And so I told him about that day I had at work. Like, why am I telling this stranger about me crying? Like, I felt like I felt like I already knew him. Like, I felt like I knew him for years. And I felt so open. And we text till like 3 in the morning. Wow. And I went to sleep the happiest person ever.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes. And then I woke up to a text.
Okay.
He said, I have to tell you something. He said, I said, what is it? He said, I have a baby on the way. Okay. And I was like, like my first initial thought was like, but then something trumped over that, and it was like, don't care. Oh, okay, and what else?
Oh, you was in love.
I was
in love.
Because usually when somebody tell me you have a child, I'm like, yeah, deuces. Yeah. You're not worth that. Yeah. But you told me you had a child on the way, and I was like, okay, what's up? Right. It doesn't matter.
I can be a stepmom.
Hey,
it's me.
Exactly. But yes, and so I was perfectly fine with that. I even reached out to her at a point in time, was like, have a safe pregnancy, You know, I just want to keep all positive vibes, no matter. And you know, later on trials came, but it doesn't matter. You know, we gonna stay in this for the long run, no matter how hard it gets. Yeah. But yeah.
So did you experience anything like before getting into marriage with Raheem?
Oh, most definitely. So after we, you know, started talking that night, and we actually had went to church, you know, it was great. It felt like it was a date, honestly. And so I think we couldn't wait until the church. So we met each other at Platinum Fitness. Okay. Because it was like, yeah, let's just
let me see you work out.
Let's see each other already.
I need to see how you work out.
I was working out.
Who does that? Meet me at Planet Fitness. I gotta show you something. Okay.
You know what?
You said, I'll be there.
No, seriously. Like, the day when I was at work, I could not stop talking about this day. Like, I was telling the coworkers and one of my friends that I used to be friends with, I was like, oh my gosh, should I wear this or should I wear that?
What did you wear?
Like, okay, yeah, I wasn't all the way saved. Okay.
That's the question. What did you wear?
I just wore like a t-shirt.
To provoke.
I just wore like a t-shirt.
This girl said, you gonna be my husband.
Bone in my bone, flesh in my flesh.
Okay,
But
you said a t-shirt.
It was some shorts.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
it.
cool.
It was just some shorts.
Okay.
I mean, they weren't just crazy, but
so
they
he's
were
your husband now.
Yeah.
So that's all we need to know. We know how that went. Definitely.
So,
okay.
I pulled up. We pulled up at the same time, but I had got out the car before him, and I seen him, and all I could think was, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was very
mesmerized.
Yes.
Didn't know what to say.
Speechless. I was so nervous.
Oh,
and
man.
I seen him. I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Giggling. And he was just walking, and I was like, "Wow!" And it wasn't like it was a little bit of lust there, but it wasn't fully. It was like it felt like love. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you are." Everything.
Okay. That you prayed for.
Exactly. So yeah, we worked out, whatever. And, usually whenever, you barely know somebody, you're not trying to work out like full, throttle. Like, I didn't care how I looked. I was just like, he was like, come on. Like, he was trying to train me.
Okay.
Like, I don't know you. But at the same time, I was like, I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
And he gave me a whole workout. It was so hard.
Yeah.
But I did it. And then I was doing some push-ups on the ground, and he seen a dude looking at me, and so he got behind me. And I peeped, and I was like, energy. That happened to me before when we weren't at the gym, but I had to sing, and I was on stage. I was singing background behind somebody, and I remember this guy. He kept walking close to where I was on the stage. Tall, big dude. Me and Nick knew each other for 2 months. And I say actually 1 whole month. We met at the end of November, talked the whole month of December on the phone every single day. And he came to one of my shows. And so when he came to the show, this is my second time seeing him. So I don't really know you, but I knew I just liked him. He was just so cute to me. He was. But I just remember this big guy just coming, just staring me down. But I also see Nick just walking right behind him like, what you doing? What you doing? Like, I peep you. And so after the show, Nick came to the stage and took my hand to let me come down the steps. And so I was talking to Nick, whatever. We had some friends around us. And the dude came to where I was. He playing with fire.
And he tapped Nick on the shoulder and said, "Hey, bro, is this you?" So this guy is this tall. Nick is right here. He's a big old dude. And then Nick was like, "Yeah, that's me."
I can already imagine that.
"Yeah, that's me. What's up?" And so after that, dude was just like, "Man, I respect that. I respect that." And I'm like, this is just the weirdest weird. But he had all these bruises and scratches on his knuckles and all that stuff. He said, "Yeah, I've been in the military. I'm out now, and now I'm homeless. This and that, blah blah. So yeah, your girl's cute. I respect you for that. This and that, blah blah blah."
Move along, sir. But
the fact that my man stood up for me, you know what I mean? Ain't no telling what was gonna happen in that moment, because this dude, he already dangerous. You already got in a fight with somebody probably 30 minutes ago. And you tapping my husband, not my husband, on their shoulder talking about, "Hey man, is this you?" But the way he stood up for me then, I was just like, we locked in. We locked in because you got me. Exactly. You know what I mean? You protected me already.
Exactly.
And we're not even there yet. But yeah, I just wanted to put this little side note in. We love our husbands. Yes. Y'all. I'm sorry. If you can't tell, we just, we love our husbands. All right.
So when he, we was together for a month at this point. I think it was still in June, and we went to the little Six Flags. We went to Six Flags, and so he was acting weird. I'm like, he was in Texas. And I was like, okay, just go with the flow. And I was having a blast, yada, yada, yada. And then we went to his mom's because his mom stayed in Texas or whatever. We go to her house, and then we go out to eat. He was acting super weird there. And his mom said, just wait till tomorrow. She said it to him out of nowhere. And I'm not, I'm not taking to be the slow one.
Yeah.
So I put 2 and 2 together. Like, he's acting weird. She said, wait to do it tomorrow. He's proposing. Like, it was just, I knew that he was going to propose. So I was like, he's proposing. Yeah. And so tomorrow comes the next day, and so his mom had cooked. She
can cook.
Miss Walker,
she can cook.
You can throw down.
Tell her to fix me a little something, Miss Walker.
So she threw down, and I was eating my food, and I feel the weirdness happening again.
Okay, there it is.
He literally, I can see, like, I don't know, he thought I was slow or what. But he was bringing everybody outside to the garage.
Oh, you never told me this story.
No, it's so much.
Okay.
It's so much. And he was bringing everybody out to the garage, and all of a sudden, I'm the only one in the house. I'm like, and I'm over stuff in my face. Ooh. I'm like, you know what? I'm finna let them do them.
Yeah.
I thought he was just preparing something. I'm not gonna propose right now.
Right.
I'm eating.
Right.
So everybody tried to come in, and there's cameras on me.
Oh.
And I'm like,
eating stuff in your face. Got spaghetti sauce.
Excuse me. Girl, I was eating baked beans, potato salad.
Oh.
Yeah, all of that.
Barbecue? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I'm stuffed at this point, and I still got a little food on my mouth. And all I'll see is him grab my hand and pull me up. And then he's like, I forgot exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But he basically got down on one knee, and you can tell he was so nervous. It was so cute. But, him nervous, making me nervous.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
be nervous.
Everybody's
Let's do this
thing.
Yeah.
And so he proposed, and I was like, yes, like, duh, I thought we were already married.
Right. Not I thought.
But yeah, so he put the ring on my finger, and, that was that. And
so did y'all continue being engaged throughout?
No.
Okay.
No, actually. And yeah, so some things for now, I'm just say some things because, we're just gonna wait to reveal those things. But some things happened, and I realized that at that time, I was expecting perfection. So the first mess up that he made, I literally was like, yeah, I can't do this. So, and then I had like we talked about my negative thoughts earlier. My negative thoughts makes me have negative dreams a lot of times. And so I had a negative dream, and then a negative thought, and all that came in together, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going to be in this relationship anymore. Because I really thought it was God speaking to me. Because at that time, I didn't know that negative thoughts can make me have negative dreams. So I just thought that it was, God telling me leave, even though he gave me the vision that it said it was your husband,
right.
And God doesn't contradict himself. So it's me now, I see.
Yeah.
So yes, that continued. We broke up, and this was a point in time in my life where I started distancing myself. And let's go back. We did not wait to marriage to have sex. We did end up doing that. So in that time, I felt myself jumping the gun because because I told him that I had a vision of him. Like, I stopped really praying after.
Yeah. I'm
like, okay, you told me who my husband was, so let's just live life. Like, so I kind of like stopped. I stopped praying as much. I talk to God every now and then, but I'm like, okay, thank you. We made it.
Yeah.
I got my husband. We made it.
Right.
And so, I didn't realize that was not the way. After having that vision, I'm like, okay, God, what do I do next?
Yeah.
I wasn't seeking God in that moment, and I should have been seeking him the most in that moment because I felt like I fumbled the bag. I left him. And so, I was heartbroken because I'm like, God is telling me to leave him. How dare you, God? How dare you give me this vision and tell me to leave him now? Yeah. Like, this is the best relationship I've ever had, and you just telling me to leave it? And I had to be obedient. But I'm being obedient, and I'm also mad at you at the same time. So it's like I started to smoke marijuana again, because during that period of time after I got the relationship, I was not smoking at all. And so, yeah, I held a grudge with God for a minute because I was angry that I could not be with him. And I remember one time Raheem hitting me back up, and he was like, "Can we be friends?" And I seen it, and it lighted my world up, but I couldn't do it because I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to fall for you again. I can't just be friends with you. Like, you know how you just go so far with somebody, you can't. We can't turn around. We can't go backwards." And so I said, "No, we can't." And so, yeah, we just stopped talking. And there was a point in time during the breakup, I remember, because he had gave me his passwords like in the first week of us talking. And so it was still saved to my phone. I didn't know that. And he didn't change his passwords. Dude been having the same password forever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me see if this works. Yeah. Like, my crazy side started to come out. I started to see if, like, okay, let me see if he's texting somebody.
You didn't start cutting no clothes.
And so I tried to see if he was texting somebody, and like I've seen some people in there, but it wasn't serious. I'm like, these girls can never treat you like how I can. Like, so even throughout that time, he wasn't focused either. So we was both like not focused, and I was like, okay. I mean, it wasn't too serious, but I was like, okay, because they really wasn't giving him like the attention how I would, and I was like, I wasn't even mad at him in that time. I was like I wanted to be with him, but I felt like I couldn't.
Right.
So yeah. And I tell him this, but he calls me crazy. He calls me a stalker.
Oh,
I'm like, you do what you do for people you love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so during that time, I still was, sad, very sad and mad at God. There was one time where I pulled up to his house. This sounds crazy saying it out loud. And so I wasn't going on no crazy stuff. I just sat there because we used to sit in the parking lot and just talking all night long. And so I just sat there and I cried. I was listening to Maxwell. I forgot what song, but I was listening to Maxwell. Like, in your feelings.
In your feelings.
Girl, bawling, hoping he don't see me. Like,
and
I was bawling so bad. I've never been heartbroken like that.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's the first time I actually loved somebody. I've threw around that word so many times with people, but I actually felt it this time. Because, usually my past relationships, if we broke up, I'm like, hot girl. Like, no, this time it was like, I don't want to be alive. Like, I don't want to be here. I feel like my other half had literally, just went away.
Yeah.
But, so after all that, I was working at this place or whatever. And so, this one guy was sitting at the table and he was looking at me. And I seen him from the corner of my eye. I was like, maybe he's doing something else. And I look, and the eye contact did not leave. I'm like, oh, that's a devil right there. Like, that was going in my head. Yeah. But, people aren't devils. But, that's what was going through my head. But, so, he was there for a job interview. And so, I was working in fast food. I was a manager there. But, fast food, they hire like this. So, he was there the next day. And he had came. And so, I was a manager, and he approached me. He said, what's your name? And he was like, oh, you my manager, so I gotta have your number. And, I'm not really close to God right now. I'm smoking marijuana, and I'm just, my discernment is low.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really even care. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm sad, I'm depressed, whatever. Here, like, just give it to him. Yeah. And so I do that, and then that's whenever he said he left his jacket at the place. Could I bring it to him? Like,
what?
I look back at this. I look back at this, and I'm stupid. I was stupid.
Yeah.
You don't even know this guy. Why are you bringing his jacket? He come to work.
That's how it be though. It be like that.
Yes.
Yeah. It can be the stupidest thing, but you don't even realize how stupid it is.
Very.
Until after the fact.
Very.
Yeah.
So yeah. Long story short, brought him his jacket. Then we end up smoking. You see how that, like, they will say, okay, well, I gotta get her into distancing from God first, and then I'm gonna bring that weed back in, and then I'm gonna bring in soul ties. So yeah, like I just said, soul ties. We ended up
having sex
that same day. Like, there was no I definitely was not close to God at all, and I was entangled in that for So we like, I think that was in October 2021, all the way up until December. Wow. So yeah, it was, I was entangled, like, and that felt like a long time for me, because, you know, you just got done fasting and praying a few months ago, you know, your husband was revealed to you, and for you to go from that to, you already back into the same thing you just came back from, like, years ago, like, what are you doing? And so during that, I knew I was a child of God. Like, at that time, I was very aware. I knew that I was supposed to be in a relationship. And so there I go. You're in sin. What did Adam and Eve do? We hide. And so I was hiding, and I felt so shameful, and it became so strong. Like I was telling y'all that time where I was sitting in the car with him, and all I heard was a siren. Like, it was so loud. It kind of heard like a trumpet, a loud instrument noise. And I thought it was the trumpets, the last trumpets, and I got so scared, and I started praying. I said, Father God, please spare me, Lord. And he was like, you straight, you good? I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to hear nothing you're talking about. God, please save me. I'm sorry, I'll leave it right now. And I realized we were across the street from this this metal place, but I think God allowed that to happen for a reason, because he's like, this is how you're going to be if I came right now. So I need you to get it together. Yeah. And I surely did not get it together. Yeah. I continued in this sexual sin for some more months, you know, like I said, until December. And, you know, it's always the last few times you do it, something big happens. And so I got pregnant. And after that, I was kind of numb. Like, I didn't know how to respond. Like, you know, I'm not talking to God, and I'm like, well, he's not here for me. Like, in my head, I'm like, he surely wouldn't forgive me after all this. I've been super disobedient. And so, yeah, I continued staying away from God, and I was planning on just leaving my family, and because I was living with my dad at the time, I was planning on leaving my family and just moving with him, like, because he was in a situationship, and I knew that, like, that's all my standards went out of the window. Like, he stayed with his baby mama and four or five kids. And why are you entangling yourself in this? Like, so I finally decided I'm going to wash my hands of this relationship. You know, he's still going to be the father of my child, but I can't do this no more. God has done so much for me. So I was sitting in my room one time, and I was crying out to God. I was listening to Wait on You. And I don't know if y'all know this. It's very popular. So, I'm going to wait on you. Yes. And I just remember, like, okay, God, I give it to you all. I give all of it to you. I'm going to wait. And I was so sad, because that's the one thing I always told myself is I'm never going to be a single mother. I will never. Like, and I even told myself at a point in time in high school, if you get pregnant before marriage, get an abortion. I told myself that. Wow. But, you know, when I actually got pregnant, that wasn't even a thought in my head. Because, like, I could never do that to my baby. But, so I was, like, numb. I feel like if I wasn't as numb, I probably would have went through with it. Yeah. But I was so numb, it just, you know, did that. And so, washed my hands with him, and because, you know, I couldn't block him because he was a part of my child's life, so it was very hard around that time. So I just gave surrenderance, and in that very moment, I had a vision. I had a vision of me and Raheem, and it was the first nature date we had, and we were both smiling in that time, and that was like the best time we've had before. So I had that vision, and I had this strong desire for him, and it all came back full circle, because I had literally forced him so far down I didn't even think about him anymore. Wow. Because I was so sad. I said, I can't. The thought of even thinking about him, like, I couldn't even bear it. Yeah. So it all came back, all the love, all the feelings, everything came back, and I couldn't control it, so I just texted him. I was like, hey. And so, and this was like 11 o'clock at night, like, he texts back, hey, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like a little kid in the candy store all over again. And so I'm like, this is too soon. This couldn't be God. Like, you know, I just gave surrenderance. It's probably the devil, maybe, I don't know. So, but it feel, you know, like it's from God. So, you know, it just didn't make sense in the physical, you know, because you're like, well, God wouldn't, you know, take you. You just got out of a relationship. He wouldn't do that. Right. But, you know, God works in ways that we can never even imagine.
Right.
Okay. But, I could do exceedingly abundantly above all you could ever ask for. Like that right there. Because people don't think God can work in those situations. Right. They're like, oh, girl, he's not telling you to go back and get married already. Yeah. Yes, he did. Yeah. But yeah, so we started texting and rekindling. It felt like everything was back. But then I still had that doubt. So I was like, yeah, we're not getting back together yet. But I'm going to pray about it now. Because I need confirmation. I can't just be with you and not know. Yeah. And we're dating to marry. Yeah. Like, even though I'm pregnant, I told him I was pregnant. He was like, is it mine? And I was like, no, it's not yours. This was so embarrassing. Like, so embarrassing. Yeah. I said, it's not yours. And so, you know, he was like, okay, cool. And he was still okay with it. I was like, okay. Yeah. But, so yeah, I remember going to our church down here in Nashville, and I remember asking for prayer on a Wednesday night. I was like, I just need guidance, and you know, I forgot exactly what I said, but I remember I said I need guidance, and then he prayed for me, and I felt a shift. And that same exact night, it's something Raheem always just says, like, God will give you 99 steps, but you have to take one. Like, he been taking all these steps, and I haven't took any steps at all. And so he said that to me because he didn't know what I prayed for. We wasn't together. He was sitting back there or whatever. Yeah. And so he said that, and then I said, what do you want out of this? And this relationship, whatever. And he was like, and he started saying everything I asked for in my prayers when I used to pray for my husband. Wow. And it was just like, girl, it's been sitting right in front of you this whole time. Like, he's telling you exactly. You haven't even said what you prayed for. Yeah. But he's telling you this. So it can just be something like that. And so that stood out to me. And ever since that moment, I knew that was my husband. Wow. And so that's when we started planning. We started planning the wedding. Yeah. And we got married literally in February. So I stopped talking to dude in December. We started talking in January. Married February. Wow. So everything's like expedient, very fast. And so, you know, after I began the relationship with him, and he seen I was Malachi's dad, seen that he didn't like that too well because I had cut him off cold turkey. Yeah. And so he's still like, you know, and I told him that I love him. You know, I was just throwing that word around, and I was such a horrible person. Like, even then I was a horrible person. Like, because when you're in sin, you do stuff that you don't even want to do. And so I told him that I used him. Oh. I said, I was using you. Yeah. And he didn't want to believe that. He was like, there's no way. There's no way. Yeah. But you was using me too. Be for real. Like, you had a whole... you had a whole team. So he didn't like that too well. And so he would call me. I was like, I'm serious. Like, I really want to be with this man. Yeah. I said, this is my man now. Yeah. And I would be on the phone, right? He would be right there. So right on speaker, I'm like, yeah, this is over. But yeah, so that, progressed, and right, he was like, because I honestly, I wanted to wash my hands with him. Yeah. Like, and that wasn't the way of God. You know, you shouldn't try to control somebody's relationship. Right. But I just him type of lifestyle. I'm not going to out him or anything, but I just wasn't in agreement with that lifestyle whenever I stepped into God. And so Raheem was like, no, don't do that. You need to let him be in his life. And I was like, fine. Okay. We're going to do that. Yeah. Because, you know, he's been through that as well. And, you know, and so we allowed it. And over a period of time, he stopped responding. Because I didn't let him come to the appointments. I just would tell him about the appointment. Because, you know, I didn't want to be in that atmosphere anymore. I feel like that's not appropriate because I can tell you everything that's going on. I don't know if anybody agreed, but that's just the way I decided to do it because I knew that's the boundary that I had. Yeah, there's no difference in me telling you than, you know, you actually being right here. So so that happened, and slowly he just disappeared. Oh, okay. Yeah, so he was okay whenever I wasn't with anybody. He was gonna be the dad, but whenever Raheem came into my life, you know, gone, disappeared, blocked me. Wow. Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna say that, but but yeah, honestly, I'm still grateful that Raheem is, he stepped up. Even whenever, in the beginning, he stepped up, and he didn't care about if he was in it or not. He said,
Right.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And so yeah. And
that's beautiful. I love that. I love that so much. And I know there are so many females that are probably dealing with that. Like, I have children now, and I want to get married, but I don't know if a man is going to accept me with my kids and all of that. But this is a testament right here that you can still find that love. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure the dating pool right now is a little crazy.
But God,
yeah. My thing is just find yourself in God at this moment. You know what I mean? Like, whatever feelings that you've been feeling, if you've been feeling lost, lonely, all of that, this is the perfect time to really dive deep in God and let Him show you who you are as a person, and also allow Him to lead and guide you to even the place to be found by somebody. So I guess the last question for you is, what encouraging word do you have to people who may be struggling with smoking weed, marijuana, sexual addictions, single mom wanting to be married? Like, what are some, or even family issues? Maybe their parents went through a divorce and they're trying to navigate through. So what do you have? Do you have an encouraging word for them?
Most definitely.
Okay.
I would say the first thing to do is pray.
Okay.
It's because sometimes we don't even have the strength to even get out of these certain things, or even know how to be guided within our emotions, because our emotions can dictate our actions if we act on them. So I would say pray, and then that's whenever God will start to reveal to you. Because there's been times where I feel like I didn't have strength to get out with marijuana back and forth and back and forth. So there's going to be times where you just going to keep going back and forth, but God is finally going to call you out. Like, even in that moment where I was in sin, God was tugging and pulling on me. Those prayers that I prayed during that fasting time, those prayers I prayed during the relationship that I wasn't supposed to be in, in the Holy Spirit groans for us. So God knows what you're feeling. So even sometimes where you don't even know what you want to say, God is feeling you out. He's hearing your cries. Yeah. It says, Paul says that you don't know how to live out the things that you want to do, but God, He knows that you want to live right for Him. So He's going to provide a way for you. So just know in the back of your head that God will take you out of that, not take you out, but He will provide a way out. And whenever He provides that way out, take it. Take it. Because you have to know God, He comes right on time. And if He gives you an instruction to do something, do it right then and there. Because He's not doing that for no reason at all. He's doing it because, okay, if you wait any longer, the enemy is going to, because disobedience, when you're operating in disobedience, you're not operating in God. And so what is the opposite of God? Satan. So if you're not serving God, you're then serving Satan.
Wow.
And his will.
Wow. That is so true. So for the ones who are having trouble wanting to find God or get into His Word, what do you have to say for people who are kind of struggling with that journey of staying consistent? You know what I mean? Or even just, what do you do? Like, what's the first thing you do? You said pray. How do you pray?
Be raw. Be literally transparent, because He already knows what you're thinking, but He just needs your surrenderance. So it's like, God, honestly, I don't know you. Like, there's a point in time I was sitting in my room, God, I'm confused. I don't understand any of this Jesus stuff. Like, it sounds weird and contradicting. Open it up to me. I want to know this. Give me the truth. I said, whoever you are. I didn't even call Him God. I said, creator of the world. Like, you got to get real nitty gritty with it. Like, because God already knows. Like, people like, oh, don't question God. What does that say? I don't see that in my word. It says, ask, seek, and find. God wants you to find. He wants you to seek. And He's going to open the door for you. He's going to answer your prayers. And forgiveness, y'all. Forgive the people, because you don't need to be praying to God and you over here hating all these different people. Open your heart up to God and take that bitterness out by praying and forgiving others. And if you don't know how to forgive others, pray. I'm very heavy on the pray because you don't have anything else. You got your mouth and you can talk to God. Okay, even if it's in your head.
Yeah, and even find scriptures on that too, because that's what convicts me is when I do find what I'm dealing with in the Word of God, and He gives us instructions on how to deal with it. And praying is number one. Yes, reading the Word too. That also helps you and it uplifts you and it convicts you and it causes you to even change and to be better. So, and that's, we can search all day on Google for stuff.
Yes. Well, the Word is very powerful because He can speak to you.
Yeah. Like if you're having trouble with the Word, search on Google scriptures about bitterness, scriptures about unforgiveness, scriptures about, literally start there.
I did do that too. So.
Yeah, start there and then allow it to develop over time. But you're not alone. You're not alone. God's got you, and a change can happen for you in your life. You just have to believe it. And when you pray, save time to listen to what God has to tell you, because He can speak to you and He will speak to you. Even when you feel like He's not speaking to you, stay patient and be still and know that He is God.
Yes.
And He is with you. And God will never leave you nor forsake you. He has not left you yet. He is with you right now.
Everywhere you go.
So, everywhere you go. Everywhere. And God is with Charity.
He's, the pit.
Yes.
In the pit.
He was with
when you're sinning, He's waiting on you to come home.
He's waiting on you to come home. So come home. So that's all we have for y'all today. Thank y'all so much for joining us and watching. Again, Charity Muhammad. Follow her on social media. I can have her little tag at the bottom. But she is so powerful. She is amazing. And her growth in God has just grown so much. And she's just wanting to bring other women to Christ as well. So I love y'all so much. Join us for the next. And if you haven't watched the other episodes, make sure you tune into those as well. Make sure you subscribe. Love y'all. Peace.